Okay, now let's talk about arrays. As I have mentioned before in the data type section, array is a very important data type and a super useful one. Instead of saving each value with a new variable, we can save multiple values in an array and hold them all in one variable. Something like array equals to 1, 2, 3. And inside an array, you can have many data types. PHP doesn't force you to have the same data type in an array. So here I can add AMIR or even another array, 10, 20, 30. It works like a charm, no problem. There are two ways to define an array. The first one is like we have already seen above, using these two. We can say a equals to an array of numbers. That's it. This is just using these two brackets. The other way is using the array function. So I can say b equals array, and then inside the parentheses I add my items. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4. These two are not different at all. But in terms of readability and personal preference, I use the first one much more often. When we wanted to print out a variable, we used echo, like echo 2, and when we run the file, we get 2, no problem. But with an array, if I try to echo that array, I will get an error. Array to string conversion, because echo tries to convert array to a string and it wouldn't be possible to print it out. So there are two other functions that we can use to print out the array. The first one is print r. We can use print r on any variable, but with variables that are arrays, it works like a charm. And as you can see here, it has printed out my array and it shows the items and their keys. The other function that we can use is var dump. Var dump is a very useful function that will show you a lot more detail. Let me print this one out as well. As you can see, when I used print r, it just printed out the keys and the values. Here I say, okay, it's array, it has 4 items, the key with 0, 1 is an integer, the key with 1 is an integer, and the value is 2. It gives out more details about my variable. When working with arrays, it's a good idea to know the different parts of it. First part is the array itself as a whole. Then inside the array, we have different items, and each item has a key and a value. Let me create an array and then var dump it or use print r to see what I'm talking about. For example, here I have array A and it holds values 1, AMIR, 2, 10, and even another array like 1, 2, 3. Now if I print r or want var dump this array, this is the array as a whole. Each one of them is an item, and each item has a key and a value. Key, value, key, value. And here our key, the value of this key is another array, which again has array as a whole, each item, key, and value. Now let's talk about array types. As you can see here, each item has an index. Now, if the indexes are all numbers, we call it an indexed array, something like we have already seen, or I can even specify the numbers myself. So it would be like a equals to an array, The key 0 is 1. The key 23 is 2. The key 55 is just random, but since all of them are numbers, I can call this one an indexed array. If all these keys were strings, then I would call this array an associative one, like this, like x was 1, y was 2, I don't know, name was AMIR, and so on and so forth. And sometimes we have arrays that is a combination of both of them. Like some of the keys are numbers, some of the keys are strings. We can use all of them, no problem, and all of them have the same functionalities. So let's start talking about functionalities. Let's start with the first one, getting a value from the array. If you want to get a specific value from an array, you can do it like this. You call the array, and then we specify the key, the index of the value. For example, if in my array here, which is called A, if I want to get this value, I should call this key. So, and since this value itself is not an array, again, I can use echo to print this value, like A, and the key is X. Now if I run this, I will get 1. Yeah, but if I'm not sure if the value is going to be an array or not, because it was an array, I would get an error. I can use print r as well, and again I will get 1. As I said, it doesn't matter if the key is a number or a string, it would work on all types of an array. If here, for example, I could use 51, the value is AMIR here. Now if I want to, let me comment out these var dumps and print r's. Now if I want to add a new value to an array, again, doesn't matter what type of an array we are working with, you can do it like this, array, and we can specify a key equals to the value. Okay, but if I don't specify the key, I write it something like this, PHP will automatically assign a new number as index and put it in my array. For example, here I had array A with these values and keys. Now if I want to add a new item, let's say I want to add tutorial equals to YouTube. Now if I print r my array, as you can see, there is a new item in my array with the key tutorial and the value YouTube. If I don't specify the key, it's like this, it would automatically assign a new number, like here 56. Now the key of this value is a number which is 56, and it has been automatically assigned by PHP because I haven't done anything here. In an array, keys are unique, so when we are adding a new item, if the key already exists, PHP will update its value to the new value you specified. For example, here I already have the key name. If I come here and I use the same structure that I used for adding a new value to the array, I can say, for example, AMIR updated to see if it works or not. And then if I print r this array, let's see the result. Here, as you can see, the name is AMIR updated because we cannot have two items with the same key. Keys should be unique, must be unique, and when we use the same key, it will automatically update that item. We've reached the end of array section. Let's go to the next topic.